Talk to us about your latest findings.
Well, it's pretty confounding. What we found with this story is that as part of Operation Lone Star, that's Governor Abbott's highly touted border mission to deter migrants at the Texas border, they were sending Texas National Guard service members to private ranches, some of which your audience may know. It's the big one, King Ranch down in South Texas, and Armstrong Ranch, another very politically connected ranch that's down there in South Texas. And they were essentially being sent out there to stand basically on the side of the road and watch for migrants, watch for smugglers going through there. But what we heard from service members is that they were sitting out there for 8 hours at a time and doing a whole lot of nothing, which kind of confused them and concerned them about the mission because they felt they could be more effective at other places on the border.
You know, it's interesting. I think one of the most telling quotes that a service member told a member of the Tribune was they said, quote, "We're essentially mall security for ranches that already have paid security details to protect them." I mean, that really sums up what they were doing there, right?
Yeah, and I think that's why there was concern from the service members' part. I mean, some of them, they vary in terms of how they feel about the mission. But for those people who are interested in helping out the mission of deterring migrants, they were sort of wondering, what are we doing here when they could have been more effective at points on the actual border? You got to remember, these ranches are about 80 miles away from the nearest border town. It's more than an hour away. And so to have these National Guard service members out there basically staring out into nothing, it really made them question why they were out there. It also raised questions about, what role did these private ranches have in sort of ordering protections there? Obviously, that looks like it's a terrible optics to have National Guard service members deployed down there to the ranches. I have to say that we did speak to the owners of King and Armstrong ranches, and they said that they did not ask for the service members to be there. And that means that the Texas Military Department just set them out there on their own, basically.
Well, now you did have some interesting commentary or comments in this story from one of the member of the sheriff's office who said they do see people going across the land on these very large ranches. But as you pointed out, the service members weren't allowed to go onto the property, right?
Right, and that's the big concern. That's why Governor Abbott, the Texas Military Department, the Department of Public Safety have made such a big deal of this. They say ranches down here in South Texas are getting broken into, they're getting driven, their fences are getting broken because they're getting driven by smugglers who veer off when they're getting pursued by law enforcement. They're having migrants cross through their borders. So that was the concern. When we spoke to the Kennedy County Sheriff, he said that was a big concern for his small agency, and he needed all the help he could get. The issue is that the National Guard service members did not sign up to be law enforcement, and they did not sign up to be Border Patrol. If they had wanted to do that, they would have signed up for those. They signed up to be National Guard service members, which by and large are sent out for hurricane aid, tornado aid, that kind of stuff. They want to help out their fellow Texans when they're in need. It's a very different situation here.